Welcome back to the Pack Chat, our student voice opinion segment. I'm joined today by my co-hosts, Victor Martinez and Sam Mack, as well as our guest co-host, Ignacio Miguel, as we discuss this week's most trending topics. Yesterday, we posted some polls on our Insta story with the topics beforehand so we can bring them up in our discussion. So thank you to everyone who responded. With that being said, let's get started. First, the Netflix show Ginny and Georgia is under fire for a sexist quote used against Taylor Swift. The show's line said, "What do you care? You go through men faster than Taylor Swift." Fans were shocked at this line used, especially by a Netflix original, after Taylor's documentary Miss Americana was aired on Netflix, where Taylor specifically talked about the misogyny and sexism she faced in her career. So Taylor took to Twitter with a quote that with the tweet that Connor will probably insert somewhere around here. And basically, a lot of people thought that, she was overreacting. I am a Taylor Swift fan, and I think, especially from a platform that she felt safe on. I mean, people have talked about who Taylor Swift has dated for her whole entire career. It's always been a subject. She's always gotten hate for having songs about all of her exes, even though everyone in the music industry does. So, I feel like Taylor kind of thought, one of the lines in the tweet said 2010 called and it wants its joke back because, it is 2021. She probably thought that she would never hear those words ever again. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I feel it's Netflix. Like, Netflix has always been on that line of, like, are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they've just always pushed that boundary. And I agree. Like, it's been such a long time since I've heard it. Like, I just feel like there was really no reason to, really bring it back up.
And I definitely wouldn't put the hate towards the actress, and instead I would put it towards the Netflix writers, because I feel like they're the ones who made this controversy happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Mm-hmm. It's like she said, it's dated. Like, at this point, like, we've come to a point where it feels like that type of joke isn't necessary. Like, you can write around that. You can have the same effect without having to take a jab at this singer for no reason.
Yeah, no. And definitely, I just feel like, she is definitely tired of it. Like, she is like one of the only artists who have ever received backlash about dating people. So, I definitely think that her feelings are very valid.
Yeah, I agree. And on our Instagram poll, we had 64% of people say that Taylor made a valid point. 36% say that she's making it a big deal, which I thought was interesting. But I definitely think that she's making a valid point.
Mm-hmm. Next, a top Nike executive resigned after 25 years with the company when it came out that her 19-year-old son, Joe Herbert, was caught using her credit card for a shoe resale business. Herbert was racking up $200,000 a month from his resale business. Shoe resellers have been ruining shoe companies' launches and affecting buyers for years. I don't know if you guys are familiar with shoe and sneaker reselling, but what they do is they buy these shoes in bulk when they first launch. Yeezys are super big for it, to be targeted by resellers. And what they do is they double the cost of them and then sell them through their own company. So, it really is affecting the buyers more than it is affecting these big companies. They're still buying the shoes from Nike, even though they're selling them for double. It's not like a super big deal for Nike, but what it is doing is affecting, the buyers of these shoes. So what do you guys think about that? I personally don't. She stepped down at her own will. So I don't know what you guys think about it, but I think it's kind of interesting how, maybe she was distributing shoes to him behind the scenes, or what do you guys think?
I think all in all, it's a really crappy situation because there's no way she can really win in it, just because first off, she's so high up in Nike, and then her own child is doing it. If she was in on it, it would make more sense, but if she isn't, and that's just really that's just super unfortunate because there's really nothing she can do because she's a big part of it, I guess. Just not on purpose, or maybe on purpose, no one knows, but I think it's just a really crappy situation for her.
Yeah, for sure. We had somebody on the our Instagram poll. We kind of asked an open-ended question about what people thought, and someone responded saying that her son should be ashamed that he lost his mother's job for selfish reasons. And I agree, there's no reason that he had to be doing that. That's just something that he wanted to make whatever. And if his mom is a huge exec at Nike, like I'm sure that like, you know, their family makes a decent amount of money. Like that's not something that he like, that's not really like understandable from his perspective, I guess. So
Yeah,
it's
he
just
definitely didn't have the need to take advantage of that. His mom was already high up there.
Exactly.
And I mean, I definitely think that the response was like pretty much prompted. Like she would have had to step down just because of what resellers are doing to the shoe industry. Like it is a really big deal right now. And it's like a conversation that a lot of people are ready to have. Last, Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced yesterday, starting Wednesday, March 10th, he's removing the statewide mask mandate and opening all businesses to 100% capacity. According to the Statesman, only 1.5 million Texans have been fully vaccinated with the coronavirus vaccine, and the New York Times averages Texas's cases to 7,000 new cases a day. Abbott said, even with these restrictions being lifted, he still warns Texans on remaining safe and staying cautious.
It's clear from the recoveries, from the vaccinations, from the reduced hospitalizations, and from the safe practices that Texans are using, that state mandates are no longer needed.
I mean, what do you guys think about this? I saw something on Instagram yesterday that I feel like kind of explains how most people are feeling about this subject, which is at some point in time, we were all thinking about when we would, hear about that new normal headline. When are we going to go back to the new normal? And so I think that that's why, first of all, it's so shocking is because it is that new normal headline that, going back. And also it just kind of the circumstances surrounding going back to normal is not the best. People aren't, fully ready to go back to normal because, we're not doing amazing in vaccines and whatnot. So, I mean, what do you guys think about this?
I'm torn. I'm really torn between it because I think for kids like our age, it's really not like a big deal. Like us walking around with no mask, but there's always that transitive property where even if we do get it, you could always give someone who could give it to someone older, which is always a scary concept. But I feel like it's kind of either now or never because it really just doesn't really have doesn't look like it's gonna slow down really because it's every day there's something new oh, someone just got the coronavirus in your area, every day. So I feel like even with the restrictions not much is changing really.
Yeah, and while it's true that there is vaccines are definitely going to be more widely available, a lot of conservatives don't trust the vaccines and definitely won't take them. And so we have to keep that in mind, and we have to keep in mind that it shouldn't be really up to us since we're not really affecting just ourselves, we're affecting the people around us.
Yeah, I just my question is it's why now? Why we right now are on a really steady uphill slope of vaccinations and everything, and we're on a steady downhill slope of cases, but I just feel like it's not enough. By the rules for both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine is that they become effective about 2 weeks after you take the second dose. So 2 weeks before March 10th, there were 5.3% of people vaccinated or something like that, and it's 5.3% of the people having a medically insured immunity to COVID, I just feel isn't enough to say that oh, people don't have to wear masks anymore, people don't have to, or we can reopen businesses to 100% capacity, which is just a lot of people in a compact space, especially if you think of a restaurant. That's, and when you think about it, yeah, those individual businesses, they can say, oh, we want people to wear masks in our businesses. But what a lot of businesses are doing now is because of this whole mandate, they're realizing that people aren't going to wear masks in their stores. And they're saying that oh, okay, our employees have to wear masks, but the other people don't. But that's just feels unfair to the employees because they're wearing masks. They might be people who care, but they have to come into contact with these people who don't have to be wearing masks. And they are facing that kind of unnecessary exposure. And it just feels like we're jumping into something because we really want it to be over, but it's not yet. But it feels like it's we're on the downhill slope, and it's just why do we have to make jumps now? That's my perspective on it, I guess.
That's a good point, Victor. I like that comment that, it's something that people wish is over, but it's not yet. And so we're jumping into it a little too soon.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for today. Remember to Wolfpack, there's always time to chat.